Sandro!
Yeah, what's up?
You hear that? That's the rain. It's the rain of the nothing.
Oh.
I'm about to be eaten by the nothing. Quick! We need a convoluted way to start this podcast so that we can get to the end of it, so that once we complete this, it'll boost the imagination of like, people? I'm not sure. The story's a little convoluted in that manner.
Oh, sorry, I fell asleep for a second.
Oh, you fell asleep?
I fell asleep.
It's probably the rain. And
no, I think it was just
yeah?
you trying to explain the NeverEnding Story.
Except in a medium of a podcast? Yeah. Speaking of a podcast, welcome to Oldie but a Goodie. The show where we review movies from 1984 and the rain only gets louder. This week, we're reviewing The NeverEnding Story. The NeverEnding Story.
Boo.
Rain, could you please go away? You're
That's
ruining the audio.
I think
You're welcome.
the existence of that song ruined the audio. No, I like the song. I'll say that much.
Yeah,
it's a good song.
That song just gets me every time. It's in my head, you know?
Oh yeah, you're Zach, I'm Sandro.
Yeah. Well, I did say your name. I didn't say my name, though.
You did.
I, Zach, need to stop the nothing that is consuming me, which is causing all this goddamn rain, apparently.
Yeah.
God, I hate that nothing.
What did you think of the NeverEnding... Well, actually, first, what's your backstory with this? You've seen this movie before.
Right, yes. I saw it as a child, and I liked it. And then I saw it as a child again, and I liked it.
Wow.
I saw this a lot when I was a child. It was one of those... We had it as a DVD, or it may have been VHS. I don't know. Because it was at my grandma's.
Ah.
And she had a collection of DVDs. That was one, and I've seen it like 3 or 4 times. So
Nice.
I hadn't seen it in a long time, though, now. And so it was good to come back and watch it again. Sandro, what are your thoughts?
I saw this when I was very young, and I went, I hate this. This is really bad.
This is great. We're coming from childhood, I was like, wow, this movie's great. And you're coming from childhood, this is a piece of shit.
I absolutely hated it. And I still do. It's a bad movie.
That's so funny. You are like the nothingness. You just like, I hate this. Creeping in. And I'm like, no, we gotta save Fantasia.
Atreyu.
Falcor.
Oh, God.
Hell yeah.
I was kind of expecting to like it because a lot of films that I didn't like when I was younger, stuff like Labyrinth and Dark Tower, didn't love that when I was younger. But I like him now, so I was expecting this to be on that level.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Oof.
So.
Although I will say, absolutely, I'm going to go straight off the bat. My hatred for children has only increased with the years.
Fair.
So the child acting's like not great. I will say it's at least got motivations that make sense.
Yes, sometimes.
What do you mean sometimes?
I mean, the whole ending is ridiculous and could have been solved in a minute and not 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But the, like, start where the bullies force him in, like, he hides in the shop, and then the guy goes, why don't you just punch him? And he's like, Like, it was a very child response to that. He's like,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my thoughts.
Well, the other option that came out this week was a movie called The Secret of the Selenites, also known as Mood Madness. It's a French animated movie where a guy from the 18th century goes to the moon to find the Fountain of Youth. And that would have been cool.
Yeah, no, that does sound interesting.
But I guess...
Too bad we didn't do that.
NeverEnding Story was what we did. And this actually came out last week, July 20th, because it was an alternate option. It is based off a book by a German author called Michael Ende. It's based off a German book. This is actually a German production. This is a German film. It's just in English with English actors, but it is technically a German movie.
I remember in the books, the dragon looked like a cat.
What?
But they... Yeah, or something. It looked like a different animal, and then they changed it to a dog.
Interesting.
Like, the design. I remember looking into that. That's all I remember, though, about, things.
Well, this is only the first half of the book as well. which is interesting. It's directed, co-written by this guy called Wolfgang Petersen. He did a submarine film called Das Boot 3 years prior. It's pretty good.
Das Boot.
Das Boot. He also directed the Harrison Ford film Air Force One and the pandemic movie Outbreak. So he's done some good stuff.
Nice.
The cast, though, we have to try and get through these names without laughing.
Wow.
Barrett Oliver is Bastian Balthazar Bucks. It's apparently a real person's name. That's his whole. That's his name. It's Bastian's name.
That's Bastian's name?
Yep.
What's his last name?
Bucks.
What's his middle name?
Balthazar.
Balthazar. Hell yeah.
And he's just a normal kid.
Yep.
He played Victor Frankenstein in the Frankenweenie short,
really?
which came out in 1994 as well, which was pretty good. And then in 1995, he was the lead in this sci-fi movie called Daryl, except it's spelled D.A.R.Y.L.
Oh, nice. Just so looking it up is a pain in the ass.
He got some awards based off that performance, and he currently works as a photographer.
Cool. I liked Atreyu more. The problem being that every time it switched back to him and he'd go, whoa.
It was terrible.
I hated it.
So bad.
Because that was very unnatural. And that's what made my, like, child acting, like, you know, that vein in the back of my temple or whatever, just pulsating. I'm like, no, that's not what a child would say. No, movie, no.
Yeah, he was, I think because that was so funny that I liked him more than Atreyu, because Atreyu just kind of had one facial expression for the whole film.
Yeah, Atreyu's not really doing anything. I guess the best actor's the princess, because she has the least time.
Yeah, she's pretty good. But for Atreyu, we have Noah Hathaway. He plays a character called Boxy in the original Battlestar Galactica show. He's also in a horror film called Troll, where he plays a character called Harry Potter Jr.
That's great.
And then we mentioned her before. Tammy Stronach is the childlike empress or moonchild, whichever name you want to do. She hasn't really done anything else on screen, but she does work as a dancer and choreographer. For the adult cast, only one adult's really that notable. His name is Moses Gunn. He plays the Empress's servant Carrion. He was in Firestarter. He was one of the doctors in Firestarter.
Yeah, I thought he seemed familiar.
And then for the voice of Falkor, Gamork, Rockbiter, and the narrator that shows up out of nowhere at the end is Alan Oppenheimer. He hasn't done much, but he was in episodes of Get Smart and Hogan's Heroes, so that's cool. He voices all of them.
Cool. He's got a good range then.
I guess so.
I like his Falkor.
His Falkor is very good.
Yeah, it's like
Falkor.
Atreyu.
This has got 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, audience score of 81%, 7
Yeah,
points.
pretty unanimous across the board that it's an 80% film.
Yeah,
Sandro.
people liked it at the time a lot.
They like it nowadays as well.
I put out a poll on Instagram as well to be like, hey, is it good? And people said it was good, so people like this movie.
You don't, though.
It's bad. It's a bad film. This cost $27 million. What do you think it made worldwide? What do you think it did?
It's interesting that they put so much money into this.
It is.
Because the effects are obviously pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanna back me up here, but I'm gonna die on this hill. The effects were pretty great.
They're alright.
The practical effects and stuff.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
The automaton, the whole set design and everything's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. The tower makes no sense. How do you get up there? But it looks cool.
They have an elevator.
Ah.
The Fantasia Vader.
Fantasia Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How else would you get up there?
Checks out.
Well, to be fair, the only time that any of our characters get up there, except for at the very start where Atreyu is just there, they always fly.
They do always fly.
There's the bat guy who flies around on the bat. He gets up there. And then Atreyu flies there on Falkor. No one else walks.
No.
Because there's probably a staircase or something that you have to climb. Anyway, it made 300 million.
Nah.
200.
Nah, less than that.
100?
Yeah.
Oh. Damn it. I was just hoping it made more. 100's still good, though.
It's pretty good.
It still made its money back and more.
Still made its money back.
And DVD releases, it probably made a heat.
Oh, definitely.
Everyone I knew owned the NeverEnding Story.
The song was everywhere. Yeah, definitely. The merch probably would have been crazy.
Oh, yeah. The fame, the fortune, the babes. the Falcors, you know.
Yep, Falcor's getting all them groupies.
Yeah.
Alright, let's talk about the movie then, in depth. And it'll probably never end.
The NeverEnding Review. Let's get into it.
The font, it's pretty bland. It's just white font on a black background. But it looks alright.
It's alright. It's nothing to write home about. I mean, I like I'm looking at the poster. The poster has some nice little cursive sort of thing.
The poster's quite good, actually.
Yeah.
Aside from the fact you got a bloody rock biter's face in the background. Gross, I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah, nah, get it in the foreground, you're right. God, I love Rockbiter.
We'll get to Fantasia, though. First, we gotta wade through 15 minutes of Earth.
Lots of clouds. There's lots of clouds in the opening.
Oh, there
Don't
are.
forget the clouds.
Love them.
I like the clouds and the opening with the credits and the song.
That's only in the American version, though. I watched the German version, and the song wasn't in the movie, and I was like, what? What is this?
Really?
So it turns out, the song was made for the American release and not the original German release.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Very strange. I don't like it. I prefer the song.
Well, yeah. Obviously, the song was a huge success, so it's a shame that they didn't have that in the original German.
They hate it in Germany, though. They hear the song and they go, ew. Straight quote.
They don't say like a German word or anything.
No.
They use the English ew.
Exactly.
But now we got to get back down to Earth, where we have a kitchen and an adult man and a child. And Dad's like, "Don't be sad, idiot. Stop drawing horses."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, you want to get over your sadness? Be a real man.
Be a real man.
The 80s.
Gotta man up. Gotta be tough. Don't draw horses, you dumbo. Do better in math. Actually ride the horse when I pay money for riding license."
I did like the one shot, though, of them in the kitchen. That was pretty cool. It goes on for a while. It's just one long scene.
Yeah, it is a bit long, but I think it's very natural, like the way... I like how natural this movie feels. When it... Obviously not in Fantasia, but like the real world feels more real, where you've got just them like standing around making breakfast. The dad's like looking over at his child. He's clearly concerned. God, I don't know how to raise this brat.
Horses? Oh, I've been killing horses since I was 13. I don't know how to deal with this.
He likes horses, eh? Well, I can get him a horse. Chick.
But yeah, I do quite like the intro. I quite like this whole sequence. Yeah, and they've got some good chemistry. They don't really have any screen time after this, but, they're pretty good.
But yeah, and it established the fact that he's doing bad at school.
Yeah.
Little old Bastion, he's doing bad at school because he's too imaginative. Don't be imaginative.
How dare you?
It's the 80s. We want people to be tough, rough, and no imagination. Zero.
So he goes to school and runs into some bullies.
So he gets chased by bullies, chucked into a bin.
Yep.
Like the piece of garbage he is.
Ha-ha!
Got him. Take that, child.
It's okay. Very soon he will get revenge and possibly kill kids on a flying dragon.
Dragon. Falcor, go eat my bullies. Rip their corpses apart.
It's quite concerning. The end of this movie raises a lot of questions, and we'll get to it. Anyway, he goes and hides in the bookstore, and we meet the worst character in the movie.
What do you mean the best character in the movie? He makes total sense.
He's such a jerk.
What do you mean?
I've got a direct quote here when he's like, "Oh, the arcade's down the street, kid. Here we sell these little rectangular objects."
He's a huge boomer.
He's
absolutely
the worst.
What do you mean? He's just a boomer.
And then, Bastion's like, "But I read books." And he's like, well, now I think you're interesting.
And then he's like, "No, I've read all these novels." And he lists, like,
Lord of the Rings.
What's the one killing the whale? What's that?
Ah, Moby
Penis.
Nah, it's a good book.
It's a great book. I think I read a different version of the book.
And then he's like, "But what are you reading, book reader?" And he's like, "I'm reading a book. It's very unsafe. It's an unsafe book.
A dangerous book."
Yes.
And he's like, "What? How can a book be dangerous?" And he's like, "Have you ever been all these cool characters in this book?" And he's like, "Yeah." "Well, then, were you scared when they were about to die?" And he was like, "No." And he's like, "Exactly. Your books are safe."
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, dude.
Who is this guy?
He's a bookstore owner.
What is his deal? Where did he get this book from? Does the NeverEnding Story change based off who's reading it? Is it like Jumanji, except a book?
Yeah, I would think so. I think that maybe the, book might have told him that this kid was coming in, and so the guy tested him. I don't know. I don't have anything for you, man. Like, for each different person who reads it, it's a different story, because it's about them.
Yeah. See, this is my thing with this movie. There's so much exposition, but none of it matters. They don't explain what Fantasia is or what the book is, but they explain to you what Rockbiter's backstory is.
The whole point of the first thing is to exposition for the nothing, which is the problem. The villain, nothing. That's 90% of the exposition.
It was also just a lot of rocks. So I was like, I don't care.
Yeah, it was fun. I love that. No, boo. All right, so we're going to skip there very quickly. He goes to school, but then he's like, ew, math test. Oh, he stole the book.
Yeah, he stole the book.
Don't forget he stole the book.
Although he stole the book, but the guy knew he was going to steal it, so, yeah.
Yeah, the guy clearly, baited the... He's like, nah, don't you worry. You forget about it. But then he's like, oh, I got a phone call. He goes to the phone, and then he looks over, and he sees the book's being taken, and he's like, got him. Take that, child.
Yeah, gotcha.
Never gonna play those rectangle beep bop devices.
Yes.
You millennial.
So Bastian, goes to school. He's like, oh, I don't want to learn nothing.
He sees it's a math test, and he's like, fuck that.
So he goes into the attic of a school. First of all, school having an attic, weird idea. Second of all, it wouldn't be open.
Schools can have an attic. Well, it's not open. There's an emergency key on the wall, in a glass case, but the glass case has already been broken. It's a very familiar action. This is the thing I like. It, didn't explain this to you. It showed you that he was very adept at getting into the attic.
Yes.
Which is, clearly he's been here before, and he uses this as, a hideaway.
Yes.
Which I quite like this part, because a lot of movies would have, explained that to you or something nowadays, which is really annoying.
Yeah.
Show, don't tell.
So, he goes into the attic, and he starts reading. He opens up the book, and it's like, what is this? Let's have a look.
Opens up the book, and then he's like, oh, there's a couple of characters in a spooky forest. Ooh. But then there's a big crashing sound. And then these couple of guys around a campfire are like, And then a giant, steamroller comes rolling in. And they're like, ah! And then they start running around. Not in any direction, particularly. They run back and forth.
Just in circles. Just the Prometheus thing again. Run out of the way.
Yeah. Just run to the left or right. You'd be right.
You'd be totally fine. Although I guess these characters are stupid, so...
Yep, that they are. I think that they're only chosen for this mission because they're fast. One of them is a race driver, so he's just stupid. And one of them can ride a bat. And I think that was their qualities for being hired for this mission.
Exactly. So one of them is a goblin, one of them's a steampunk dude.
Steampunk snail rider.
Steampunk snail rider, who... was probably my favourite. He was alright. I didn't mind him.
Yeah, he's great.
The giant thing crashing through the thing is... it's like a roller. Yeah, controlled by Rockbiter. Yep. And Rockbiter's like, my family, my village is dead. Oh, give me some rocks. Yum, yum,
I
yum.
have a family and a child. You can see it in the television show.
Yum, yum, yum. I'm going to eat rocks.
And then he's like, oh, I see why you chose this campsite. Oh, do you mind if I just munch down on some of these limestones?
Limestone. I really don't like him.
I would. He's great. He comes, he sits down, he's like, can I have some rocks? He eats some rocks. The problem is he doesn't know how to eat rocks, and half of it just goes flying everywhere. And so the people down below him have to dodge these boulder-sized crumbs. I'm just raining down from the sky. And then they all talk about how they're from these distant lands and the nothingness is eating up everything.
It's eating up everything. Who would buy a Rockbiter toy? I'm just really angry about Rockbiter. I think he's stupid.
Why do you hate Rockbiter so much?
The worst.
I would buy a Rockbiter toy. Why do you hate Rockbiter so much?
It's just bad. He burps a lot. I'm just like, this isn't funny.
Oh yeah, no, the burps are hilarious. What do you mean?
And
body humor's a classic.
I just kind of hated this whole scene. I was like, I get it. I get it. Move on. This is bad
It's just
stuff.
a bit of exposition, and it's done better than a lot of other exposition. It's not like a narrator. It's just these characters talking about who they are, and it's like, oh, who are you? Oh, well, I'm this from the west side, and we're also being eaten by the nothing, and he's from the north, and he's being eaten by the nothing. Oh my god, we're all being eaten. Quick, we've got to go to the tower.
I would have preferred, in a world that's been eaten, it's the Queen. See? It's 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Gets it over and done with.
That's terrible. What?
In a
What do you mean?
world.
I don't know what you just said. A world that's being eaten, there's a queen.
Yeah.
Is that your exposition?
The opening would have been like, in a world where nothing is eating everything, here's the Queen.
Wow.
That's the whole intro.
That sounds awful.
We wouldn't need to spend millions of dollars on the design of these characters.
No wonder you hated this movie, because this scene's great.
I wrote down this note that says, strong wind, the nothing, tears some trees up, and I'm surprised it isn't a fart joke. It happens. Like, this strong wind comes passing through this forest and some trees get torn up, and I thought, oh, a rock bite has farted. And then, no, it's like, it's the
You're
nothing.
ruining this movie. You're the problem, Sandro. You're ruining this movie without the movie trying. To be fair, you would expect that from a bad movie.
You would expect
which
that.
is why it doesn't do that. Because that would be bad.
There's some wide shots of Fantasia, which look good, but at the same time, I
great.
kept thinking, Dark Crystal's just better. But Fantasia is a pretty
when does
cool
Dark
world.
Crystal...
Dark Crystal is 1982.
Because they made a new stuff.
Yeah, there's the new one. But the old one, like, it looks amazing. The world is so well done.
Yeah. The old puppeteering and other stuff. Yeah, I think I quite like the art design. I especially love the tower. Because they spent a lot of time designing it. Like, it's very cool.
They get to the Empress's palace. I love the design of these...
the aristocrats. Yeah.
Yeah, the aristocrats are cool. Especially the grey, like, stone heads in a chair with, like, their tiny body that's sitting down.
Yeah, there were so many cool designs that were just randomly thrown in.
Yeah.
It's, like, all to do with heads as well, which is great. So you got these, like, giant head ones. You've got lots of different types of multi-headed ones. Mm-hmm. Just, like, different types. So there was, like, 3-headed ones, which was one head, but they have 3 faces. One's with, like, a split in the middle and 2 faces looking sort of diagonally out.
Yeah.
Because, of course, all the aristocrats are two-faced, you know? They go big heads.
Exactly. It's a euphemism, and it's well done.
Yeah, it's cool.
Then Carrion comes out, and he says, oh, look, guys, I'm sorry to say this. Empress, very sick. You thought that you could ask her for help? Nah, she's dying. And, get this, she's linked to the nothing. But wait a second. Purple buffalo people have a kid with a dumb name that could probably help us out. He's our only hope, kind of like Luke in Star Wars. We're going to get him in here. He's going to save the world.
That was exactly the scene. I was going to criticize you after all of that, but you actually just did the entire scene.
Yep.
And then all the aristocrats are like, oh no. And then this child shows up. He's like, hey, bitches.
I love exactly at that moment you cut to Bastian and he's like, oh yeah, kid I can relate to.
Yeah. Oh god.
Funny.
I didn't write down every time it cut away, but I should have, because obviously you'd need to cut away a few times, but I hated it. I always hated it when it got out of the books to show him, although it needs to, obviously, but it was just what he said.
Yeah, it wasn't natural.
Whoa. Yeah, because it felt very unnatural with the rest of it.
Yeah, so it turns out this Atreus guy is in the crowd and he's a kid and he walks up and we cut to Carrion basically being like, you're a boy, bring the real warrior. And he keeps saying this over and over again. He's like, you're a boy, get out of here.
Sorry, how does he say it? I don't think he says it like that. He says it with the Australian
Oh,
accent.
you're a boy, get out of here.
What the fuck are you doing here, mate? Go back to the Billabong where you came from.
Get out of here, you BB guzzler. Get out of here.
Yeah, that's exactly what he says.
And basically, he says this over and over again until Atreyu turns around, starts to leave, and then he's like, actually, maybe you can help us.
Actually, I have literally no alternative, so, come on then. I'll give you this magic relic-y doodad, and you can be on your way, huh?
Oh, it's the same one that's on the cover of the book.
Wow, no one's ever put on the cover of a book an item that's been in the story. That's never happened before.
Why does that surprise Bastian so much?
Yeah, no, that's another bit where I was like, dumb.
Carrion also says, "Oh, mate, no one can give you any advice. Except for this. You must go alone, and you must leave all your weapons." Mate, if you can give him advice, say you can give him advice.
Yeah, well, no, it was just a roundabout. He's an aristocrat boy. So he'd be used to dodging doing that sort of talking, where you're like, I cannot give out any advice, perhaps, except for, and that sort of thing, instead of just saying, oh, this is what I would say.
Oh, and also, a giant green-eyed wolf is chasing our train.
Hell
That's
yeah.
important.
Also, I'll get into the Gourmog, but I don't agree. What is the Gourmog's freaking motivation? What?
There isn't. Yeah, it's pretty stupid. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of walking, and I wrote down the note, oh, I hope this stuck-up horse drowns or something. Just because I hate the horse. It's the worst character.
You've seen this movie before, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, freak
This
you.
scene is hilarious.
No, this is so sad. Okay, they're trudging through. I liked them trudging through for a bit. Maybe they trudged for a little long.
I didn't mind it.
But yeah. But like, I liked how he's like struggling with this marsh. The marsh area looked very cool. And he like gets covered in mud and all that. It's the swamp of dread or whatever it's called. Swamp of ever enclosing sadness.
Yep, some stupid name.
If you let the sadness overtake you, you sink.
Yeah, so the horse is trudging through this marshland and gets stuck.
Yep.
And can't get out. So Atreus, I wrote down the exact quote because I knew this was coming, and I knew that this scene was quite effective to kids that saw this when they were very young, but I couldn't stop laughing, and I don't know why. I think it's the way it's written.
Wow.
So
yeah,
Atreus was like, "Oh, Artax, you're letting the sadness of the swamp get to you. You have to move.
He's trying to be positive.
Yeah, you have to care, Artax. I love you." Artax, you stupid horse, you gotta move!
Yeah, well, he gets frustrated because the horse is like, it's natural, Sandro. That's what I like about it. It's very natural.
The writing is, his performance doesn't change.
Oh, yeah, no.
His face doesn't change from he's sad to he's frustrated. It just looks like out of nowhere he's calling the horse a stupid horse. And it's in like one shot. There's like barely a gap in between those two sentences.
Yeah, his acting. Look, all the child acting. It's child acting. You can't ask too much from it. But yeah, you get the idea. He goes from like calm, like, hey, we're all happy chappies here, please don't get sad, otherwise you'll sink and die.
I just found it really took me out of the scene, and I just laughed a lot.
Yeah, you
at this very serious moment.
I can imagine that.
But yeah, and then he cries for a bit. Atreyu cries. It's very sad. Then he comes across the Shell Mountain.
Yes. So eventually he comes to the Shell Mountain. It's called Shell Mountain because he climbs up. He's been told that the Oracle or whatever, the one who can help him out with his troubles, lives near Shell Mountain. I wonder what's gonna happen. Oh, well, he feels a rumbling, and he yells out the name of the Oracle. It's like the all-knowing one or something. And he's like calling it out, and then there's a rumbling underneath him, and he falls down, and oh my god, a giant turtle head pops out of Shell Mountain.
Whoa.
Because it's called Shell Mountain.
Yep.
Yeah.
I hated this.
I love this. What do you mean? What do you mean? This scene was so funny. The scene is great. I love this scene.
There's some pretty funny stuff in there. I like how the turtle like responds to something that Bastian says, and he just freaks out. That was pretty funny.
What did he say? I can't remember.
I think he says, "It's a turtle." And then the turtle says, "Yes, I am a turtle." And Bastian says, "Whoa!"
Oh, right. Yeah. Child acting. God damn it.
There's a bit of that.
Yeah, so the turtle is the all-knowing one, and explains that they're very
They just don't care.
yeah, they just don't care about anything. It doesn't really care, and he's like,
"We don't care whether or not we do care."
yeah, it's great. I love that quote. He's like, what? What do you don't care about anything? Nothing's gonna kill everything. What are you doing? And he's like, we don't give a crap. That's you.
Oh, it sneezes all over him, and Atreyu's like, do you have a cold? And then the turtle says,
no, I'm allergic to youth.
Ugh.
No, that's great. I love this scene. And then he's like, if you really don't care, then you can just tell me, it doesn't matter. And the turtle's like, you're a clever one. Because what you need to do is go to the Southern Oracle.
Yep.
And that's 40,000 miles away.
Direct quote from Atreyu. Oh, but that's so far away.
Yep.
He says that.
Yep.
In that way.
It's great.
So he's got to go to the Southern Oracle. We cut back to Bastion, and school's out.
Yes.
And I love this. All the students leave the school, and then immediately the lights turn off.
Yeah. No, that's very strange that the lights turn off almost instantly. Like, no one else would be at the school at this time. No janitors or, like, teachers needing to review the test that we literally saw, that the movie showed us there was a test.
Yeah.
Someone would surely be there to make sure, I don't know, a child doesn't get locked inside. Like Bastion, perhaps, who we haven't seen all day.
This is not a very well-managed school if the lights turn out as soon as the last student leaves. But anyway, it is
what it is.
It is what it is. This is a world where a kid called Bastian Balthazar Bucks can exist.
That it is.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. So he goes back upstairs, and there's some spooky attic happening.
There is a spooky attic.
Okay, the weather outside constantly changes, by the way. And I don't know if you noticed, but it's somewhat jarring.
Yeah.
I get it. I get the idea being that the story seems to have an effect on the weather outside. Like, whenever it gets cold, dark, and rainy in the book, outside it gets, like, there's a storm. But it also, like, is nighttime, but then is daytime sometimes. It's just constantly swapping back and forth.
Yeah, it is a bit weird. That did annoy me a little bit.
Oh, well.
He keeps reading, Atreyu's trudging along, and then out of the heavens comes a giant, hairy, white dragon dog
Hell
boy.
yeah, because the tray collapses. He's like, I'm exhausted. But then Lucky Dragon's like, hey, I'm a lucky boy. Scoop him up.
Yeah, takes him to this place to let him rest.
Recuperate.
Atreyu wakes up and is like...
Well, no, he tries to sneak off, which is great. I love it. He tries to sneak off, and then Falco's like, going somewhere?
I like his voice. I think he's probably the best creature voice in the film.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I think there's no doubt his, like, character design, personality, and thing, it's all meant to be great.
Yeah,
and it is
really good.
He's like...
Although, there is a questionable quote that he says in this scene.
I love children.
Well, he doesn't just say it like that. He goes, I love children.
Yeah, because they're funny.
It was a different time, I guess.
He likes children. He's like, they're funny, they're silly, and irrational sometimes. It's fun.
Yeah. His nose...
Yeah, his nose is weird.
His nose is very strange.
Give you that.
Yeah.
I was also thinking that. That's very strange that you were also... I guess it's just a strange nose. But it's like not a dog nose. Halfway between a dog and a human nose.
Yeah, it's very...
It's weird. It makes his face... Like, if it was a normal dog nose, like, or at least more normal, maybe a fluffy dog nose or something, he would look more pleasant, I feel.
I think he would.
Yeah.
I didn't like how he winked a lot. He was always winking. And I was going, you're a creepy old dragon dog. Stop winking at kids.
Not creepy. All right, maybe he is a little creepy. No, he's friendly.
He
likes winking. He's having a good time. He's just doing his thing. He goes on the whims. He smirks a lot of weed.
He really does.
Like, constantly. He's a luck dragon. He's like, man, I feel like oh, look, hey, a patch of growing weed I've just found. Great. Man, I could really do with a pipe. Whoa, I found a pipe on the ground.
Here we go. Yeah, he is that sort of dog, for sure.
He is high as a kite 90% of the time. In the air and on drugs.
So Atreyu keeps looking around, and I hated a lot of the weird characters in this movie just because I thought they were annoying.
Why do you hate the weird characters?
They were
That's the whole goddamn point of the movie is these weird fanciful creatures.
Because I thought they would try hard and just cringy in this one compared to other films
What?
with these
Try
sort of
hard?
characters.
What do you mean?
Like, they were trying too hard to be weird. They weren't letting the character be weird and endearing. They were writing it in a way that was weird and then expecting that people would just like them for their weirdness. And I was like, it felt too Tim Burton-y for me, I think. I think that's it.
Okay. I was fine with Tim Burton-y. I'm fine with Tim Burton, though. That's the thing. And, like, they were weird fanciful to build the atmosphere. Like, they were clearly characters, though. That's the thing.
So, yeah, I liked these two. I liked this old couple. I thought they were
the old
really well
couple's
done.
Great.
Yeah. Which is the ones that we meet now. I quite like them. I thought that they were well done and well written, and they felt like real characters compared to the turtle. But this old couple, one of them loves witchcraft and the other one loves science.
Oh yeah, it's so great where they're like this married couple. They're both scientists, but one's of witchcraft and one's of science.
Yeah,
and it's great because they take turns. What the boy needs is another potion.
Yes.
One of my brews, that'll get him right. And he's like, when will it be my turn to teach him the ways of science?
The scientific guy is like, I'm going to show you the way to the Southern Oracle. So they go up to this telescope, have a look through just in time to see the two sphinx that this knight is trying to pass through to get to the Oracle.
Yeah. So the idea being to pass through the Oracle, you have to believe in yourself or something. Like you have to have faith and courage in yourself. Know who you are.
Something like that. But also it doesn't matter because he just runs through them and escapes being killed. So whatever.
Well, not the knight. The knight gets yeeted.
The knight gets destroyed.
The Sphinx eyes open up and they yeet him. And then Atreyu walks in and the Sphinx eyes start to open up and he has to jump out of there in time, and then he nearly dies.
So yeah, he goes through this first obstacle to get to the Oracle, and the scientific boy, he sees that he has done this and he yells off, "No, I haven't told you about the second gate yet though."
Yeah, dum-dum.
If it's a test of your spirit and not a physical test, you don't need to prepare for it. You can just go up and do it.
Well, you can mentally... Oh, but actually, no. Because then he doesn't know what he's looking at. I wonder if that's how he gets through the test. Is that he's just like, the mirror showed me a random kid. That's weird. And then just passed through.
Yeah, that does happen.
Like, because he doesn't actually know that it's a reflection of himself.
Yeah, that was weird.
He might not actually know that it's a reflection of himself. If he had known, he might have run away because he's like, I'm just this weak garbage kid.
Yeah, so is Atreyu... No, he's a character in his own right. He's thinking for himself. He's not like an avatar that Bastian is putting himself into.
His, character is what Bastian would like to be. If he was a hero, it's what he would want to be. But he in himself is a different character. Like, they think similarly, but different in loads of situations.
Yeah.
Have you seen the second movie?
No.
The second movie, they have to defeat a witch and other things. But Bastian and Atreyu, meet up in Fantasia, and they have adventures together.
Okay.
And it's very interesting. There's a great scene where they're fighting, some bad guys. Atreyu's, kicking ass and shooting things, stabbing things, whatever. And then the guy's like, I don't know what to do. And he pulls out a thing, and he's like, oh, I've got this. I'll wish for spray paint.
Great.
And he gets spray paint, and he, sprays it in their eyes. But yeah, they're definitely different entities.
Which is interesting. There's a whole bunch of stuff where Bastian throws away the book and is like, I don't like this anymore, but then he goes back to reading it, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, well, he freaks out because at this point the book shows him in the book, and he's like, whoa, this is too crazy. The book that I am reading now is talking about me reading it now.
So we see the Southern Oracle. It's just the Sphinx from before, but they've got a voiceover, a very good voiceover over the top of them.
Have we mentioned the Tartars on these Sphinxy boys?
They're there.
Yep.
You can see them.
I'll bring it back later. There's a reason why I'm mentioning them.
Oh, okay. I quite like the visuals of this, though. You've got, the dark starry sky with the oracles against them. Very flat surface. Looks quite good. I quite like it.
They've clearly reused the set, but they've put this different glow on them, and they have a sort of present voice, and it's sort of harmonious.
Yeah.
Because there's two of them there. It's cool.
And they say, the Empress needs a new name.
That's the entire plot.
But the name must come from a human child.
And he's like, what? How do I get a human child? There's like tons of them. I could give her a name. I'll give her a name right now. Piece of shit. That's her new name.
And they're like, no, you cannot do that. It must come from a human. You're not a human. You're something else. And then the Sphinx start to crumble, and Atreyu just looks back and forth between them for like half a minute, and it's very funny.
Yeah, because he's like, what the frick do I do? What do you mean outside of Fantasia?
They're just crumbling, and he's like, what? It's great.
Yeah, it's
so silly. And then Falcor comes flying in, and Atreyu hops on his back, and they fly off. It looks pretty good. You can tell there's green screen, but they matched the fan movement and everything pretty well.
Yeah, they've certainly done a lot better green screen here than some of the other green screen we've seen.
Yeah.
Even Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones had worse green screen than this movie. Although flying around, it was a little obvious, but other than that, it was pretty good.
It was pretty obvious, but obvious in the way that like the Christopher Reeve Superman movies are obvious, in that you don't really mind.
Yeah, they're not that bad.
They're not super bad. So what happens? They reach the sea of possibilities
because they got to figure out how to go beyond Fantasia, and then of course Falcor, he's been a luck dragon all his life. He's just like, yeah, we'll just go in a direction. I'm a luck dragon. We usually find the correct way. And so they fly to the Sea of Possibilities, which sounds like there might be some way to get beyond Fantasia.
It might be possible.
And then the nothing hits them.
Yeah.
They reach the nothing, and then Atreyu falls off.
Oh, it's raining at my house now, by the way. It just started raining.
Oh, the nothing's at your place now.
Yeah.
Oh no, Sandra's about to be eaten by the nothing. Are you at the Sea of Possibilities right now?
I'm always at the Sea of Possibilities. That's my secret. Live here.
What?
Doesn't mean anything, just like this movie.
Yep. So he falls off. He wakes up on the shore. He's lost his magic pendant. Falcor is like looking for him on the beach line.
Atreyu! Falcor! It goes on forever.
Atreyu! Falcor! Atreyu!
Falcor! It's annoying, but you know, it's pretty good. I like it.
It's like half the reviews were just Atreyu! Falcor! It's great. It's iconic.
Yeah. So he's walking along the beach and he sees Rockbiter sitting down. And Rockbiter's like, heard a bird, my friends are dead.
He goes, look at these hands. Don't these hands look strong to you? I always thought these were big, strong hands.
They're pretty big.
But then I was holding them and the nothing took them. Plucked them right on my hand. He's like depressed because his friends are all dead. And I was like, oh man, I forgot that the snail dies.
I don't care, but...
I mean, what? Yeah, what? The snail? Come on, it's a racing snail.
The snail's cool, but like, obviously you can't show them die, but it would have been good to see that scene.
You wanted them to die. Sandro wanted these fantasy characters to fricking cark it, is what he wanted.
I love Atreyu's performance in this scene, though, because he's like, oh no, I lost my luck dragon and I can't get beyond the boundaries of Fantasia. It's just like, I was hoping to go down to the power station and pick up some power It's the same performance. It's the same performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, they're both bad.
Then, yeah, he keeps walking, finds a crypt. It's not a crypt.
Like an ancient temple that's like half destroyed by the nothing itself. On the edge of the Sea of Possibilities.
And we meet Emo Wolf.
Well, he sees all these paintings. I like this. The murals of this like legend.
Yeah, that was cool.
Of himself. And he just sort of goes along and he's following these. He's like seeing what he's already done. And it's like, if I get to the end of these, I'll see the future. And he reaches one which is just like a picture of him and the entrance and the wolf, and he's like, oh my god, that's terrible. And then the wolf is like next to him.
That was pretty good. Yeah.
It was great.
The wolf is just, I don't understand any of this. The wolf doesn't.
It's a bad guy.
It's a bad guy, but then they try to humanize him, but then he attacks him anyway and dies. I don't know.
It was interesting because he was like, he explains what the nothingness is and what Fantasia is, which is the important bits. The important bits is we learn Fantasia is just the imagination of all men. The nothingness is like them being forgotten or whatever.
Something like that.
And the reason he's helping the nothingness is because whoever controls Fantasia controls the men.
Apparently.
If you help the nothing, he could gain control of things.
And
so it's look.
I think the book might make more sense, but whatever.
Maybe. Like maybe it's more like if you help the nothing destroy everything, you're the last one left standing to gain power.
To rule everything, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I did quite
like
how Gamork was like, after I kill you, man, I'm gonna retire from the business. I thought that was pretty good.
It's like a retired old wolf. It's like, man, I'm too old for this shit.
I thought that was very funny.
Well, they're both gonna die anyway, supposedly from the nothing. So he's like, when I die, I'm gonna kill you and eat you.
And that's like when I realized, none of this, the quest portion of this movie doesn't matter. And that's another issue with this movie is they don't give you... Well, they kind of give you a reason to care.
I think they give you a reason to care.
I don't know. It's just a mess.
They develop some characters, and then they die. They have to kill off. They don't outweigh their time. It's an adventure. It's a very, sort of almost fast-paced. There's no time to stop, because there is no time.
So they fight. Atreyu and Gamork fight.
There's a bit of blood. I was surprised that there was a bit of blood. This late into the movie showing a bit of gore, but it was cool.
And there's more wind.
And then, what's his face? Rock Muncher or whatever the frick his name is.
Oh, yeah, he dies.
Yeah, he gets yeeted. It's great.
Yeah, it is great. I liked it. I was like, finally.
Yeah, because it was an emotional moment. Because you're like, oh, man, that poor guy. He was so sad. Now he's just going to let himself die. And then Falcor's like, we got to get out of here. And then they escape the nothing. And then nothing destroys Fantasia.
Yep, aside from the Ivory Tower. The Ivory Tower still...
Well, it, breaks it apart, and now it's just sort of bits floating in space.
Yeah, and so they go to the bit where the Empress is.
So this is finally where the amulet becomes useful, because they're like, hey, yo, amulet, help us find the tower. And the amulet's like, ding, ding, all right, finally my purpose in this movie. Here's the tower. And it shines, and then a boulder moves out of the way, and they can see the tower off in the distance.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Amulet. They fly to the tower.
Yeah, that was very disappointing, but whatever. He goes to the Empress, and she says, Atreyu, why do you look so sad? Except he's got the same face that he's had for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
She's like, you didn't fail the mission, you succeeded.
Yeah, well, she's like, why are you so sad? Well, he thinks that he's failed the mission.
Yeah, because the world has ended.
You know for a fact that he has no idea what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
You already know that Atreyu is watching. You know everything. You know the whole thing. So you know for a fact that he knows nothing.
Yeah.
So, of course, why are you telling him, oh, don't be sad. Why are you so sad? You know why he's so sad.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, you didn't actually fail. It's okay. You brought the Earthling child with you. He'll save us. And then Atreyu's like, what is this? What is any of this? Nothing matters anymore. I'm going to go jump off the side of this giant boulder. He's absolutely had enough.
Yeah, because he's like, all these people died for nothing? I could have just been here. Well, the point is he went on this adventure and he got Bastion invested in the world.
Yeah, that's what the point was.
The whole point of his quest is to follow him and feel his, triumphs and failures, like a story, and get him invested in Fantasia. Now that he's invested, he'll help him save it.
Exactly. Now, if this was the entirety of the book, because this is the first half of the book,
yeah.
Except that's the entirety of this movie, it does kind of feel like the author wrote a very by-the-books fantasy story and then went, I need something to separate it. How about we would be like, that was to get character invested, and then we're going to break the fourth wall. That's kind of how it feels like. Yeah. But knowing that this is the first half of a novel does make it seem more interesting, I think.
Okay. I think it's an interesting twist on the whole fantasy adventure, is that, like, yeah, they know they're a sort of story sort of thing, and they know that this person is reading about them.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. It's definitely makes it stand out a lot more, which is probably a good idea.
It does. Captures the imagination of the youth of the 80s.
Them
being
youths.
like, maybe all books are real. I quite liked how a moon princess, that's not what she's called yet, the child queen.
Moonchild.
I liked how she was like, yes, Bastion was sharing our tale, just
She's
like
called
how...
the childlike empress.
Childlike empress. She is a child. She's not childlike.
Yeah, why childlike? The child empress.
She's a kid.
Would have been fine.
Maybe in the book she's not.
She just looks, yeah.
I like how she was like, and just like how Bastion was sharing our adventure, people right now are sharing his adventure as well.
I liked it.
That was right.
I like that. Because you're like, oh, that's me. Now they're talking about me now, which is cool.
He's got to give a new name, and this is probably my least favorite part of the film.
Yeah. You know what? This is fair, because it's just like, just to name the princess.
He's
you
like,
spent 2 seconds to save this entire world. Oh no, your dad said keep your feet on the ground. So far, what have you done today? You've run away from your bullies, not gone to school, avoided the test entirely to read a book in the attic for 24 hours.
And now you won't say a name.
Now you have to say a name. Oh, that's so hard.
It's so annoying. It's so tedious. It's painful. It's
funny though.
I don't think I was laughing at this point. I was just annoyed.
Oh yeah. No. I found it funny how like dumb it was, because it's very dumb, and you have quite rightfully angry. But he is a child. He is being dumb.
Yeah. Oh, she also stares right at the screen and says, "You've got to say a name." And I was like, "Don't stare at the screen. No, don't look right into the camera."
No, I loved it.
And then eventually he opens up the window and yells, "Moonchild!" Except there's so much rain that it's hard to hear exactly what he's saying.
Hear the name. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Is that his mum's name? Because it was supposedly his mum's name, right?
Really? Okay.
Yeah, the whole point is that his mum died and his mum had a nice name, so that's the one he thinks of.
That could, maybe his mum was named Moon.
And so his mum's name was Moonchild?
I mean, his name is Bastian Balthazar Bucks or whatever it is. So
yeah. So I think the dad had something to do with the first name, like, all right, Bastion's a fine name. And then the mum was like, yeah, okay.
Balthazar
will be his middle name. And he's like, sure, that's his middle name. I don't care.
And our last name is Bucks, apparently. So
yeah,
there we go. We made a kid. One day he's going to save an imaginary world that might not be imaginary and actually have real life consequences on our actual world that might have a negative effect, and he might turn out to be a supervillain.
Well, he is talking to a cursed book, so
yeah.
I think I think he's a warlock now, is what I'm saying. He has this cursed book, and he's now siphoning magic to summon dragons in the real world. Anyway, so then she's been named, and they're standing in Fantasia or somewhere, but they're now together. Bastion and the Childlike Empress.
Yep.
And Childlike Empress gives him the last grain of sand of Fantasia.
Yep, you can recreate the whole world through this piece of sand.
Yep, you just need to make wishes. And he's like, wow, what do I wish for? And she's like, anything. And the more you wish, the bigger, fair, and better Fantasia will become. And it's like, oh, cool.
My first wish is Falcor. My second wish is Falcor must call me daddy.
I don't remember that part.
I think I was watching the wrong version.
Yeah, you really, like, the guy had an Australian accent. The audio was dubbed. I think this was like a weird porno thing.
Maybe. Oh, this was...
I love this.
I think this is the worst moment in the movie, where Bastion is riding Falcor, which is fine. That's fine.
Yeah, he rides him around in Fantasia. That's cool.
And then he looks directly at the camera and says, "Falcor is even more beautiful than I thought." And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, that's definitely an awkward line. But then the best scene in the movie happens, where he's like, "Falcor, I think I've thought of another wish." And then you cut to real world, let's say downtown Los Angeles.
Sure.
I don't know where this is based, but I'm going to say downtown. And you see the three bullies on a street, and then up in the air, people are freaking out because they see a dragon and a child riding the dragon. And the dragon swoops down at the bullies, and the bullies are like, ah, shit! And they run to the alley, and they run through the alley, and the dragon, like, swoops down, and it mauls a child. And then it guts another one. And then it eats the third one. And that's the end of the movie.
So, okay, so he can use Falcor to affect the real world, that's fine.
Well, yeah, because he got wishes.
He got wishes, which means that he is the worst now.
A god.
He's the worst. He is a god. He can do whatever he wants. This is not going to end well.
Yeah.
And that's where it ends with the narration being like, and he had more adventures, but that is a story for another day.
I like 2 as well. I should have actually watched 2 for this, but couldn't be bothered.
Fair enough. We'll talk about that in a bit, actually, because that is coming up. But yeah, that
is true.
The NeverEnding Story.
A NeverEnding Story. Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Falcor ate some children.
Yep, definitely.
That happened in the movie. Trust us. We're a reliable source. Absolutely.
Okay, look, it's bad. I think it's bad.
Uh-huh.
What did you think?
Yeah, like, there's a lot of people that don't like this movie. Like, you either like it or you don't.
Yeah.
That's, like, the two ways. And you are clearly the just don't party. But that is a minority.
It is, but I'm vocal.
Which is the most disappointing part.
I think...
Good for podcasts, though.
The twist is pretty interesting, but I don't think they really land it as well as they could have. The acting's pretty bad all throughout it. I don't think there's a single good performance.
Yeah. I think anybody who wasn't a child did well.
Yeah, but then, like, the script let them down. I don't know.
I disagree. I think the Empress was the best child out of all of them, and that's because she was only at the end. And her lines weren't hard to do. Yeah, they weren't. It wasn't a hard lot of lines to deliver.
Monotone voice. The creature designs are okay, but
I like the creature designs. It was very wacky, very out there. And obviously you didn't like that because it was very Tim Burton-y, sort of like just wacky for the sake of wacky. But I'm okay with wacky for the sake of wacky.
Yeah, I definitely prefer Dark Crystal or like Labyrinth, which has a world that is a little weird, rather than it being there for the sake of it.
Yeah, well, this thing isn't about the world, it's about the adventure itself.
Yeah, but also the adventure doesn't matter. What are you going to rate it?
Oh, I'm rating it a Goodie, and you're rating it an Oldie, just like we said.
Yep.
We
predicted it.
It's good.
It's bad.
It's not bad!
I wish to never watch it again. This one, at least. Maybe the sequels. Hey,
the sequel.
If you share this episode with friends, we might do the sequels.
When did the sequel come out? It's like...
Alright, I've got them here.
Oh, wow. Conveniently. What a segue.
I've got it all here. So, they adapted the second half of the story in 1990, 6 years later. It's called The NeverEnding Story 2, the next chapter. They obviously had to recast everyone.
Yeah.
It's directed by an Australian as well, George T. Miller. Not the George Miller that directed Mad Max, the guy that did The Man from Snowy River. People hate it. People really hate the sequel, but, you know.
Yeah, I have vague memories. Like that joke. I remember that joke, and I remember the plot, but that's about it. Which, if I can't remember it, whereas I remember, like, 90% of this movie, it's probably not good.
Yeah.
Probably worse.
And then there is The NeverEnding Story 3, Return to Fantasia, which technically came out in 1994, but it didn't get a worldwide release until 96, which is why we didn't have it as an option last year.
Right.
There's also TV shows, animated TV shows, live-action TV shows, and in 2009, Warner Brothers were trying to get the rights to remake it, but it didn't happen. They weren't able to secure them. It's time to pitch our own sequels or spin-offs or whatever the heck you want.
Oh, well, I already mentioned my sequel. So the book is a cursed evil book. It's being passed on from host to host. It's like a parasite. The child, when he summons Falcor and stuff, it's using parts of the child's own power, his potential power as a soul and stuff, to summon this creature from hell. And the power goes to his head, obviously. Because after you you literally summon a dragon to maul a child. You can do anything. So in my sequel, he uses the wishes to create his own world, and then make an army of like trolls and giants, the rock giants and whatever. And he takes over the USA.
Oh.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, people hear about these fantasy devils and other foul spawns from hell taking over. And so they need to get a team of people to fight off this hellspawn. So they get, like, Blade. Is he called Spawn? I think he's just called Spawn.
Yeah, Spawn. Ghost Rider as well.
Ghost Rider, yeah. I was just about to say Ghost Rider, Hellboy, and probably some other people, but I can't think of them at the moment. And they have to go in and slay these devil spawn to get to this child with its corrupt book and murder him. That's it. That's the end.
Well, that's very interesting. Mine goes in a completely different direction. It's more of a direct sequel. Sebastian, he yelled Moonchild very loudly out of a window and called some people to be like, what was that? So they went and investigated, and they found this kid kind of talking to himself and reading this book and thinking that it was real and affecting what's going on. He almost was acting like he was riding a dragon or something, but it's just him.
Kid's gone mad.
In this room. Yeah, the kid's gone mad. So they put him in a mental institution. They lock him up. They try and figure out what's going on. And then we cut a couple years into the future. So let's say he's 14 or so years old at this point. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, like, weird stuff starts to happen. Like, he mentions, like, a turtle sneezed on him or something, and he reaches into his pocket, and there is actual turtle snot in there. And other people in the institution are like, that's a bit weird. That what's going on there? Is that yours, or is that actual turtle stuff? He starts to be able to affect the world more and more. Could be because the warden let him bring a book in with them. Basically, it's a choose-your-own-adventure movie. So everyone in the theater is on their phones voting for what happens.
Ooh, that's cool. I like it. And you can have different endings. Didn't they tried to do that at some point?
There's stuff on Netflix, yeah. There's like some Netflix movies.
I've played the Shrek.
Did a Shrek one?
It was like an interactive, the Puss in Boots.
Oh, okay.
It was like I played that for like 5 minutes, and it was for children.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say about it.
Nice.
Because I was bored to tears by that 5 minutes. So
no, I have no idea they made that. Yeah, so it's kind of like that, except you got a vote more than it's just you making choices, and you're not voting for what Bastian does. You're voting for how Fantasia affects the world.
Ah, okay.
So whether or not other people see it or whether or not it happens. So if you want, it can just be Bastian's gone crazy and is locked up for the rest of his life.
That's great.
Or you could give Bastian the power of fire breath and he burns everyone and escapes or something like that and goes on a rampage.
Right. There's a situation where he's like being chased by a couple of guards or whatever. And he's like, all right, what do I do? Run down the hallway, or summon Falco, or fire breath.
Fire breath, yeah.
And people are like, fire breath, and he just burns these guys.
So yeah, that's mine, and it's called The Interactive NeverEnding Story.
The Interactive Story.
That's our sequels. Now,
it's the NeverEnding Raving Review. We're gonna listen to what some people are saying. With Jeremiah, he's gonna
don't sing it all. No.
I'm not. Once I start, it's hard to stop.
Yeah, know? For sure. It's like killing people with your dragon.
I loved the Sphinx's tits.
Oh.
I hated the horse death.
Well, that's all one review?
Yep. That's why I mentioned it earlier.
Well, that sure is a review. Let's give that 3?
It's a 5 out of 5.
Okay.
Alright, the first Karen says, this isn't the only Karen. Apparently Karen really likes this movie because Karen's rated this multiple times. There's no possibility that 2 people could be named Karen.
Definitely not.
Karen says, AWSOME. Awesome, awesome. She also remembered E in her third awesome, but didn't put the E in the first two. So it's AWSOME. Awesome, awesome, just like me.
Just
question
like
mark, question mark,
what?
question mark.
What?
Yes.
Is that a 5? That's probably a 5 out of 5.
Hey, it's a 5 out of 5.
Okay.
Well done, well done. All right. Okay, this one will change it up a bit. Joe says, it was the best movie ever.
It's 5 out of 5 again.
Yep, it is 5 out of 5. Squall says, read more books, kids. You too can ride on Falcor.
Yeah,
That's a great takeaway.
I'm going to go 4 out of 5.
It's got exclamation marks.
Oh, it's a 5 out of 5.
No, it's a 4 out of 5.
it's
I
a
just
4
said
out
that to mess you up.
Boo!
And then Karen, once again, this time with a different review, or possibly a different person, who knows. Make you watch again true. Which is a statement I can't argue with.
I don't know.
Make you watch again true. How is that not simple, Sandro?
Just give that a 4.
It's a 4.5.
4.5.
You were close.
All right.
Okay, and Kyle says, need to see, but be warned. It sucks.
Ooh. From me, I would rate that review a 5.
Yep.
That's probably like a 2, isn't it?
Need to see, but be warned. It sucks.
So
you need to see it, but it sucks.
That's 2.5.
No, I just want to point out what this review is saying.
Yeah, like it's a movie that you've got to watch, but it's bad.
Why do you have to watch it then if it's bad?
Yeah, it's 2.5.
It is 2.5. Well done. Yeah,
Nice.
you and Kyle agree. See, there's two types of people. There's the 5 out of 5, the 4 out of 5, and then there's like the 2 and the 1. It's just like, I don't care.
Well, now it's time for fascinating facts about the NeverEnding Story.
Whoa. Oh, yeah, I forgot you were going to do this. Yeah. So what you got?
We're getting this from an article from mentalfloss.com, by the way. It's published last year. So,
Nice.
the author of the book called the movie revolting.
What?
Yeah, he didn't like the script. Thought it was bad.
Oh. The script of the actual movie once he saw it.
During press conferences following the film's release, he kept saying it was bad. So, yeah.
Oh.
He just didn't like it in general. He was embarrassed by Fantasia's quote-unquote stripper sphinx.
Oh, right. Oh, God.
He didn't
That's
like
dumb.
him. He didn't like that.
Even nowadays, that was tame. It was like, oh, they have some, like, art has boobs sometimes.
Apparently, the kid that played Atreyu was a pain on set.
Really?
Apparently.
Oh, wow. Okay. And he was, like, the worst. Never mind.
Exactly. Number 6. It took a while to train a horse to drown.
Yeah, no, that would...
Do you want me to read this whole thing out? It's pretty funny.
Absolutely, read it out.
There's a reason why the Swamp of Sadness scene took so long to shoot. Most horses won't walk into deep pools of mud if they have a choice.
No shit. Really?
Finally, apparently some people got tattoos by the kid that played Atreyu, and they're like, hey, the kid who played Atreyu tattooed me.
What? He does tattoos?
And those are some fascinating facts about the
Excellent. Well, that was good to know. We should do more fascinating facts.
We can if you want.
I'd love to do some fascinating facts. Anyway.
That's the episode. Thank you for listening. As always, links in the description to our Facebook page. You can get in contact with us. Our email address, oldiebuddygoodypod@gmail.com. Email us with something. Maybe if you say, review NeverEnding Story 2, we'll be like, all right.
I mean, good excuse to do that.
Spotify playlist. If you like the show, best way to help us out is either review us on iTunes or tell a friend. All helps out. Links in the description. Next part of the show.
Is that your segue? Your segue is next part of the show?
Yep.
What a segue. All right, Sandra, you've got to pick a movie for next week. We have Meatballs, Part 2, which is Camp Sasquatch will be bought out and closed until the owner wins a boxing competition at the end of the summer.
What?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We have Purple Rain.
Ooh.
a rock musical starring Prince.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then The Bostonians.
Ooh.
A favourite during the award season.
Ooh.
Set in the 19th century.
Ooh.
Christopher Reeve
Ooh.
and his cousin tried to get the attention of a local healer's daughter.
Oh.
Oh my.
Christopher Reeve, though. Superman himself.
Yeah.
Meatballs Part 2. Camp will be put... That sounds boring. Crossing that off the list.
Camp Scouts Watch. Yeah, it's bought out and the owner has to win a boxing match.
If you're giving me a choice between Christopher Reeve and Prince, I'm going to go Prince. Let's do Purple Rain.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a big fan of Prince. Let's do Purple Rain next week and wrapping it up with the best quote from the NeverEnding Story. Mine is, I can't find my lark dragon and I can't get beyond the boundaries of Fantasia.
Falcor! Atreyu! Falcor! Atreyu! I like how we're from, like, the same scene. These scenes are 2 scenes apart.
They are. They're in the same
You can
section.
tell this was a good part of the movie when the two quotes we choose from are, like, back-to-back quotes.
Exactly. Falcor!
Atreyu!
Falcor!
It's the never-ending story. And now to start the review again.
Oh no, it's a never-ending review.
Oh, hey, the rain stopped though.
Yeah.
Must be a podcast because we gotta name the podcast. What are we naming it?
Moon Podcast!
Moon Podcast.
I can't name it. My dad told me not to be creative.
Yeah, he's gotta keep your feet on the ground, Sandra.
I can't name the pod. No!
Or you just could.
Moon. So bad.